Have you got any mental diseases?
I have quite a bit of OCD,
Oh, really?
but I don't think it's OCD. I just think that's the way things should be.
Okay. Have you ever been diagnosed?
No,
Well, then I guess who's diagnosed you then?
it's just kind of like people who think that you're too neat or too clean or too, but then it's just being neat or
No,
clean.
OCD I think is more like you have to do this or something bad will happen. That kind
Putting things square, walking across 3
Yeah,
grates and
but
all that.
if something bad will happen though.
Is it though? Or is it just you do it out of habit? It's like putting that light a square now. Do I just do it because...
I don't know if that's OCD though.
I just like things to look aesthetically pleasing or be square or...
I used to look after this little
Just making
kid,
sure this
and
phone
he
was
was,
off.
he's
Sorry.
real. This little kid, he was like 1, and he was really on the spectrum. And as soon as he could walk, there's these like in their playroom. There's all these different coloured chairs, kind of like randomly, and he'd like waddle over to one of them, grab them, and he'd move it under the table, and like make sure they're all square. And he's like 1.
It's inbuilt.
So maybe
in
it's
some
just
of us.
creative.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome to Dirty Little Creatives DLC. It's good, isn't it? DLC.
Yeah, no, it's worked really well.
This is the first episode of a podcast that may or may not go for 10 episodes. Probably released once a week. We'll see how it goes. Might be terrible.
Sorry. I need to get used to having a mic in front of my face
Yeah.
when I'm slurping
Rich is a
things.
newbie. And so what the podcast is going to be about is creativity, the creative process. We're going to speak to creative professionals.
Apparently so.
It's a pretty solid remit. So we're going to be interviewing friends of ours. That wasn't quite square. And we're going to have them on a laptop here, zoom them in, because we're in the middle of a global pandemic that one of us believes in. Guess which one? And so that'll be it. 10 episodes. This will be the first episode you watch or listen to. And so we better make it a good one. We're going to talk about our stories today. So I'm going to ask Rich. He's a friend of mine, but I don't really know that much about his story of how he got to where he is in his creative life, whole life. So it might be a bit rambly, but I like listening to people's stories.
Okay, so...
And you can think, it's like reading a biography. You're like, I wouldn't do that. I might do
weird.
that.
I find it's just a little bit weird because you kind of write your own narrative of where
Definitely.
you've been and what you've done and
Definitely.
why that happened. And
Well, that's marketing. Everything's marketing. Everything's marketing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And some of it can be a little bit, I don't know. Other people might not see it that way.
Yeah.
Who knew you at that point in time.
What you're thinking is that someone's going to watch this and go, that didn't happen. I was there.
I don't think so. No.
He didn't beat up 10
Maybe
people.
In a pub car park with his penis out. No, he did actually do that.
We'll get onto that then. I'm really interested in creativity, right? Because that's my job. Is I'm a creative person, and it took me a long time to come to terms with the fact that I'm a creative person because I think that's quite what's the word? Snobby, pompous.
Well, I very rarely use the word creative to describe myself, although a lot of what I do is in the realm of the aesthetics and how things look and making things perfect and square and precise and nice and smooth and clean and the right colour, the right shade. Do you know what I mean?
Said creative yet,
Yeah, but I never really classify myself as being a creative person. But to create things is probably one of the main driving forces in my life, to be honest.
Yeah. So there are obviously lots of different ways to categorize people, and I'm sure one of them is, you are a creative person.
Yes.
And that comes along with certain characteristics.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm a creative person, and this is something I've only been thinking about recently because I'm away with the fairies. Like, all my school reports were, he's looking out the window. If he applied himself, he'd do really well.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about education and stuff, but I'm away. My head's in the clouds, and that way, I can create stuff because my head's in the clouds. So that's the way I see it. But I'm a very ditzy person. I'm very forgetful by nature.
Yeah.
Very disorganized by nature, and that all I think falls under that sort of category of creative. And I can pick up a camera and frame something straight away without thinking about it. When I first started doing that, other people that were in my class were like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I got E's in every other lesson.
Yeah.
And I got A's in all the film studies and the other ones.
Well, my education was kind of a little bit weird in that respect because I was almost forced to go down like the academic route when it came to picking my...
Oh, that's really nice. What's that?
Chamomile.
It's really nice.
So, yeah, when it came to picking my A-levels, my dad said that I needed to do academics subjects.
Same.
So I ended up doing law, psychology and economics.
Right.
Hated
A-levels.
Yeah, and then ended up just like basically started taking drugs and going clubbing and doing things that I shouldn't have been doing, which led me down a completely different path. And I ended up, not enjoying those things and kind of rebelling against it a little bit. And then ended up doing like a series of some strange jobs. So my first job was...
So you rebelled against the
just the academia and...
Right.
But I didn't really know that I was kind of creative, even though I'd always drawn and painted and done stuff as a child.
Yeah.
So I worked at the University of Sheffield as a technician, which I was there for a year, and they offered me a voluntary redundancy package where I got like nearly £10,000 to pack my job in, basically, just before summer. So that happened. And
What were you engineering?
No, I was in animal and plant sciences.
What were you doing in there?
So, like, a lot of, like, breeding programs of animals that we're going to get basically tested on. So, there's a lot of vivisection and stuff like that going on. Like, one day I had to kill, I think it was something like 200 locusts. So they basically came, they turned up and they wanted to take some slides of the gut. So we got locusts, they got frozen. I got them, I had to chop the ass off and then, like, pull the head with forceps and all the gut came out in one long tube. Put these into like wax and then you slice the wax and then you...
Sorry for eating.
And then you could put them on slides so you could like look at the cross sections of the gut.
Right.
But
how did you get that job then? No qualifications, just like...
There's like 1,500 people applied for this job. It was for a young technician and I actually got it. I think I just blew my way at the interview. So I ended up leaving that. The other one, I was licensed by the Home Office to kill up to 1 kilogram. I had to go on a course to kill stuff up to 1 kilo, which was a bit fucked up. And what did I do after that?
My dog's 28 kilograms, so he would have been all right.
And then I worked in a foundry for a while, making ferrotitanium. Then I ended up working in a brickyard, measuring bricks.
Sure.
For going furnaces.
Right.
So, like, they came out the kiln, the guys were loading them, I had to, like, do quality control on the bricks, but basically I just stood there smoking roll-ups all day, chatting shit. And then I decided not to go to work for 3 months.
So there's a lot of wonky houses out there.
No, they were for a furnace. There was one job, I think it was, they've gone bust now, Dyson Refractories. I think it was something like £120,000 worth of bricks got shipped to Australia to go in this furnace. And I didn't bother measuring any of them. So they...
There's a lot of wonky houses in Australia.
No, it's a furnace. The bricks that line...
Yeah, I'm not understanding this at all, am I?
No, so... anyway, it was just a big fuck up.
It's a wonky furnace.
Yeah, I didn't really care. And then I ended up working in a paint factory at Stokes Paints. So that was on Little London Road.
Well, I like real man jobs.
Do you think?
Yeah. Aren't they?
When I was an oil and colour chemist for like 2 years. So that was up to being like, I think it was 25 when I left there. And I was stealing quite a bit of paint at the time. And I was going home and painting. I was still like into making oil paintings and things like that. And I was like, do you know what? I've had enough of this job. Walked out, went straight round to the doctors, got signed off with anxiety and depression, and then signed up for college the next year. Did 2 years at college, then 3 years at university doing fine art.
Oh, did you? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I did a fine art degree.
So what? So you were like, you had a certain point where you realised that you wanted to do art.
Yeah. Well, I was sat there and I thought, do I want to be here in 5 years' time? And the answer was no. So I picked my coat up and I walked out. They said, where are you going? I said, I'm going. And it took them 6 weeks to ring me up to ask me where I'd gone. Nobody seemed to care.
So I must have popped that P. Paint place.
Paint place.
And then you were just like, I'm going to do art at college.
Yeah. So I tried to get into university, but they wouldn't let me in without doing an access course. So I ended up at Loxley College for 2 years doing a access course.
Art Foundation?
Yeah, no, access to higher education. 2 years there, which was really good. Yeah,
what made you think I'm going to do fine art at uni?
I don't know. It's kind of what I wanted to do before I did law, psychology, and economics.
Oh, right.
But yeah, it's just a weird. So yeah, I did that, and then I left, and then I started doing shop fitting and interiors.
How did your parents take that you going into uni? I bet they were just like.
They'd kind of given up on me at that point. They were really happy when they came to my
graduation.
Well, no, because I missed my graduation.
I didn't go to mine either.
Because I was actually in Brazil rolling, so I was doing jiu-jitsu at that point. I was a blue belt and in Baja on the mats, getting my head kicked in over and over again. So yeah,
I think I was just playing Final Fantasy VII on my laptop at home.
Oh, so good. Such a good game.
I didn't want to go.
Let's not even go into gaming.
I didn't want to go. I never wanted to go to graduation. I always thought it was stupid.
My mum was a little bit upset. She didn't get to see me in a mortarboard, but
my mum's cool, so she didn't care. So then you did fine art, and then what happened then?
Then I did a little bit of a shop fit on a cafe on Sharrowvale Road, and it was just a little decorating job, but then I ended up sanding a bit of floor, doing a bit of this, doing some of this, and other building bits. But I'd always done building work in the summer holidays and stuff, and always done a bit of cash in hand work on building sites.
So you had mates that worked in that kind of
thing? And I taught myself to plaster, which was a weird thing to learn. I lived in a really shit house once, and the landlord, who was a friend at the time, he said I could plaster the walls because they were terrible. I couldn't make them any worse, and I basically taught myself how to plaster. Then gradually picked that up, but then...
First time I saw you outside of the gym, so we met at the jiu-jitsu gym, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. First time I saw you, I didn't realise it was you for a good 30 seconds. You popped up behind a wall. I was walking through Sheffield, and you popped up behind a wall, and you had like, it was really cold. You had a hat on and stuff. And you were like, all right, mate, like that. And I was like, hi. I did not recognise you at all. I didn't know, because I knew you from the gym, but I didn't know what you did.
Ah, okay.
So it just didn't go
this
together.
This is the thing with a lot of the jiu-jitsu guys.
It took me a while to figure out who you were.
I
walked away, I'm like, damn, it's not real.
Apart from taking the piss out of each other and like trying to kill each other and strangle each other, we don't really talk or do much. You might have like one or two people who you'd get deeper into life with.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who are they're just superficial bodies that you basically try and break over and over again. But yeah, I like with Dunk. I was talking to him, and he said to me once, he's like, "You should get married. We could do with going on a good stag do." And I was like, "Why don't you get married?" He went, "I am married." I went, "Oh yeah?" He's like, "Yeah, I've been married for 5 years." And I'm like, "Oh right, I never knew."
Well, you don't wear rings as well on the mat, do you?
I just didn't know. Didn't know he even had a girlfriend. Never thought to ask him. So the jiu-jitsu thing is a bit weird with knowing stuff about people as well.
It's like one of those little clubs things that you are really useful in terms of like getting to know people. And I found that like most of my friendships come out of it. Most of my jobs come out of it as well. Yeah. So it's like any small group that you're like geeky group that you can be a part of, find something you love to do, and then go and find a group that does it. And it can really like, help grow your life, can't it? Because you make these friendships, make these connections. Like I met our mutual friend James through the gym, and I'd known him for 5 years. And I don't know how much you know about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but it's a very intimate sport.
Yes.
And so you are forced to be very physically intimate with somebody you don't really know. And then I knew him for 5 years. So we're very close.
So you've done the
friends.
Intimate bit already, and then gone into friendship mode.
And then I used him. I was doing a video for a BJJ, an apparel company, and I used James in the video. And then he saw the end product, and he said to me, "I watched that video you did." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "You're actually good." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, I'm good. It's my job." And he's like, "Oh, I got loads of work for you." And now for the past 4 or 5 years,
doing
I've
all
been
the
doing loads of work
RMC stuff.
for his company, yeah.
Yeah, it's power.
So you went and did fine art at uni, and then what happened after that?
I went into shop fitting.
Did you like it, the degree? Was it Hallam?
I really liked making work, and I really liked having deadlines and pushing myself.
Was that at Hallam?
Yeah.
Oh.
Trying to get. I was the last year at Salter Lane, actually. We did the last degree show at Salter Lane. So
I was there before you then. Oh yeah, I would have because you did it late.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was
about 3 years before the last year.
I think it was 28, 27, 29.
I walked
can't
through.
remember. I was not quite 30 when I graduated, but
So I did film studies there, and we had lectures at
such a good
Salter
film
Lane.
library.
And so I'd have to walk through I hated going to uni, but I'd have to walk through the building to get to the library, where all the films were.
Yeah.
This is before like streaming sites and stuff, so
Yeah.
it had all the classics, and I wanted to get through them. But you'd have to walk through the art space, and I hated art people. And I walked through once, and there was a girl just naked sat on a stool. And so you walk around the corner, and there's a girl sat naked on a stool, and there's a guy behind her with a camcorder filming people's reactions. So I walk past, I'm like, I just hate you all. I hate all of you people.
There's so much cliched artwork.
And then there used to be pictures of a man with an erection, just
well, this is one of the
guy in the Peak District like that. I'm just like, I hate all of you people.
This is one of the reasons why I never pursued kind of the art job after I left uni. Was like
Right, this is interesting.
It just didn't seem honest enough. There was a lot of like weird people there who were doing it. There was a lot of people like mental health issues who thought that art was going to cure them. There was a lot of like, I don't know, a lot of people doing it because they believed in like the suffering artist type thing. And you shouldn't be making art for money. You shouldn't be, it's like, whereas like the commercial side of doing something like a shop interior and having it all nice and making sure everything's perfect, pushing those boundaries of how you do it. It's more of an installation than, it basically is installation artwork. But then you're learning how things function and you're not relying on other people. Like an artist to be like, oh, I don't know. Oh, how do you do this? And they end up paying people. But then just being that technician style artist. Oh, there's another thing. I did quite a bit of tech work with Ed when I first left uni. So I was making a lot of sculptures and bits and bobs for him as well, which was a really good experience, to be honest.
I'm really into that. So there's a kind of pure artist that just does art to I guess to do it to see what it looks like. David Byrne said that. I just make art because I wanted to see what it looks like.
Well, sometimes it's an itch.
And then there's just the pure marketer, commercial guy.
Yes.
And I think especially when you're younger, you don't understand the commercial making money.
Yeah.
Kind of side of things. I think as you get older, or is it that you just become jaded and?
Well, I don't think I became jaded. I think it was more of a case of I needed money.
Yeah.
And the thought of you've done your BA now. No, what you need to do now is do an MA, and then you'll be able to get money for your paintings. And then you need to do you have to work.
Is that what they say?
But you kind of like have to work through the academia. Oh, you should like apply for the Royal College. Oh, you should do it because I just want to paint.
Right.
But to sell a painting and actually earn a living off selling paintings is a really, really hard road to try and travel. But if you're working on a building site and you're making things look nice, then you get paid.
Yeah.
And you get paid enough to eat. So it's kind of like the lesser of two evils. I should have probably been this struggling artist and tried to... But I can do that now anyway.
Where does that drive come from, do you think? Is it like...
the drive for money?
No, I mean the drive, the pressure, the peer pressure to be a struggling artist, or is that innate, or is that learnt?
I don't. It's just that there's no money in art unless you get to the Premier League. It's really hard. If you start putting your work in coffee shops and you've kind of set your level of where you're ever going to be.
Right.
Well, unless you try and get an agent and work through the processes of getting somewhere up there and getting somebody to push you or getting a good gallery or moving to London or doing...
It's luck, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah.
But it's
it's a really hard...
I imagine you just have to be incredible at marketing rather than necessarily...
Or you just pay somebody to do it, which helps if you've got lots of money.
But you find the right person to pay.
But if you need to pay your rent and you need to put some food and pay some bills, then you're probably better off just working on a building site. Because tradesmen do get good money compared to baristas or other jobs that you might pick. But at the end of the day, you get home and you're tired.
My brother-in-law is, I would say he's an artist, but he's a builder.
Yeah.
And he's got to a point where he can actually pick his projects and stuff. So he does extensions and things like that, but ones that are really interesting, which is really cool. So he's kind of been frustrated for years and years and years because he's a very creative guy. He's got he's got a family. So his evenings are full and his days are full with like building jobs that he didn't really want to do. But now he's got to a point where he can pick his own jobs that are creative, so he can get that creativity and use it and feel fulfilled in that way.
Yeah.
But I guess a lot of people will do like a proper job and then the creative stuff in the evening, like a hobby, kind of a outlet. But some people are really lucky.
I find it hard to find time to do all the things, and then I'll have massive urges where I have to do my paintings and stuff like that. It's like, no, I just need to get this out kind of thing. I need to just have a few sessions painting, or I'll just get back into it for a while and I'll produce 3 or 4 paintings. Then it's like, oh, it all gets put away again. And so I get sick of looking at them as well, which is a weird.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I hate that. I hate it. And then I'll put it away and I might see it in a year's time. And think, oh, actually, it's all right. And drag it out again and look at it. And
that's very relatable.
I think a lot of what I do with my art now is more for myself rather than for other people, which is nice.
I guess you grow through different stages, don't you? So this stage that you're in is a really nice stage.
Yeah. I think as well, the stage when you're desperate, when you've got no money and you're trying to make, you can make better art when you're a bit more comfortable, I think, and you've got some money and you're not relying on it to eat.
I'm trying to think of something that I don't like watching what I've done. So I'm a videographer. I make corporate videos, wedding videos. That's it really. I'm also a podcast producer, which is weird being in front of the camera. But it's good to understand where my clients are coming from. I don't really watch stuff I make, but then sometimes I watch it a couple of years down the line and I'm like, oh, this is good. Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, things like this is like the reason why I agreed to do it. It's like, no, it'd be nice to look back on in a few years' time. Oh, we had a go. We tried it. We might not necessarily work, but yeah, you just.
There's some stuff I would cut out.
Yeah.
So it's
like the bit where I just exposed myself.
A little jump cut. So we almost got up to where we are, really. Yeah. Rich is what would you say in terms of building? What's your speciality?
I don't know. I kind of do a lot of parquet floors, and I seem to be known as a bit of a
parquet guy,
flooring guy. Although I hate doing them now, but they pay well, and they do look good when you've done them. Even though it's like, I've probably got like 3 or maybe 4 floors in me a year, in between bigger projects, and it's just usually for people who I kind of like as well now. Yeah. It's like, it's really weird because if I had to do that day in, day out, I think I'd kill myself.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
I had a couple of summers where I did 20 weddings. Must have been 2017, 2018. Now, wedding photographers will do 30, 40, 50 a year. I did 20 in 2 years and I was burnt out. At 20 weddings, on the 20th wedding of the second year, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I hate weddings. And then since then, I've done like 5. And I've really enjoyed it. And I've been able to be really creative with the videos.
Yeah. But it's not so much going to the wedding and taking the photos. It's the actual editing side.
I hate the editing.
Yeah.
I hate it. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of editing at all.
Yeah.
But a wedding is a lot of footage. It's a long day. If you don't particularly like the client, which every now and then I won't, might cut that bit out. You have to stare at their face for like 3 days solid, so it's tough. But yeah, I mean, you're lucky enough.
It's nice to work with people, though.
Yeah,
and be around people, good people, and
weddings are a great day.
Bad clients,
Yeah, Well, yeah, I'm sure we'll have like a whole episode about bad clients. But what I was going to say,
getting paid as a creative is one of the hardest things. Whereas, like, at least the security of being a tradesman, make sure you get paid. Whereas, like, a creative, they're kind of like, oh, but it didn't take that long. And there's always like questions about, oh, how long did it take you to edit that? Or how long did that take? Or how much did that cost? And it's easy just to like pass it off as not being a lot of work when it is, from somebody who hasn't done the work, which, yeah, bad clients.
Well, in terms of being like
can't use jiu-jitsu on them either.
A creative professional, well, it depends if they're they do jiu-jitsu as well. James, can't use it on him. He's better than me. Have tried many times.
He's really good for a little
really
guy.
Good. He's really weirdly strong as well.
I wonder what he's like now.
There's been times when I've like handed equipment over to him because we share equipment quite a lot at motorway junctions.
What kind of equipment?
Motorway junctions, and I'll just go for an arm drag on him or something at the side of like an A road, and then we just fight for ages at the side of the road. Yeah, creative people are weird. Anyway,
he's never lost.
So obviously, there's people that are lucky enough to be able to be, or is creativity in everyone, and is creativity in every job? I guess it is.
Yeah.
But I would say, well, I'm lucky enough to be a creative professional, I would call myself, which is also seems a bit icky to say, but that's what it is.
Yeah. Oh, it's lovely to get paid for creating things.
Very lucky to be it. So I guess I will go through how I got to be where I am. Where I am is I married with 2 little boys.
Oh.
Just in the middle of moving house, which is stressful. But I'm a videographer, and now I'm a podcast producer as of March.
Okay.
Which was really lucky. I didn't plan it just before lockdown. So I had a meeting with a friend who runs a bridal shop in Sheffield, and we just meet up every now and then and talk about business. And she was like, I was talking about her business, and I'm like trying to get my head around it and just come up with ideas. And I'm like, they sell wedding dresses, right? But you can buy wedding dresses anywhere, really. So I'm like, you sell the experience of the shop, but you sell the experience of being with the staff that work at the shop because they have a really good chemistry. I'm like, but how can you get that out before people come and they go on the website and they book an appointment? How can you get that experience to them?
So they
before
know
they walk in the shop,
so they know who they're going to meet. They know who.
That's great.
They've got the experience. Oh, she's funny. Oh,
the experience is going to be great.
Yeah.
Rather than like I'm just going to a random dress shop.
Yeah.
To hope it's good. How can we get that out there? So I'm like, blur, like copy and like photos and like some videos.
It's great marketing though, to be able to sell them a podcast.
But then I'm like, podcast is perfect. But I wasn't thinking about it like that way because I'm not that clever. And I'm like, a podcast is the perfect format for that. And she's like, I've been thinking about podcasts for ages. Can you do it? I'm like, probably not, because I'm really busy. Because I was like busy at the time.
Yeah.
Ebbs and flows, but I was really busy at the time. She was like, well, let's try it, and then we can, what's the word? Stack some.
Yeah.
Chamber some. What's the word? Chamber some. We can do a load, and then if you can't do it, we'll rearrange. And so then we started doing it in March, and like a couple of weeks later, lockdown happened, and all my commercial video work dried up. And so I was just doing this podcast every week, spending most of the time with my family. We had a baby during lockdown, so it worked out really well.
Little George.
And then I picked up 2 more podcasts that I'm doing and editing as well.
Which they are super popular at the moment as well.
Podcasts are everywhere, annoyingly so.
Yeah.
But it's good for me because I think even post-lockdown, I think it's going to be something that will continue on.
Well, I think it's only since lockdown's begun that I've really started listening to podcasts or watching podcasts. I've been watching a lot of Joe Rogan and like stuff with Jordan Peterson and quite like weird stuff. But yeah, I've only just started really getting into YouTube, which I'm way behind everybody else. I knew it was there, but it's like, oh, dear, what's that? Just people putting up crap videos.
I just watch YouTube all day. Essentially, that's my job.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Do you want me to get you some water?
Oh, yeah, give me some water, yeah.
Good.
I started doing. I don't know. I told you. I started putting together a website because I'm like, it'd be great if I could have some more podcasts. Although I don't actually have time to do anymore. So I was putting together a podcast producing website, and obviously I only had one at the time. So I was like, oh, I need another one, but I want one that's going to look cool. So I'll make one myself. So that's why I wanted to start this. And then I started reading this book, War of Art, which we'll talk about in a bit. But and on like one of the first pages, it says the definition of a hack is someone that thinks about the audience before they start creating the art. Like that's what I just did.
Well, to be honest, I always think that.
But I listen to podcasts. I've listened to podcasts like 10 years, all day, every day, and I've never listened to a good one on this topic or one I'd like to listen to. So that's also another reason why I started it. Another reason why I started it is because I wanted to spend time with you. And when you've got a family, it's impossible to spend time with people. But I can market this to my wife and pitch it and say it's a portfolio piece. So I've got lots of.
But it's really nice because we could have had this conversation or hung out and not done all this stuff. But because you do all this stuff, it's really nice to actually do it, document it. Because that's one of the main things about art is the documentation and making sure that it's left for other people to see.
Oh, right.
And it actually happened as a thing, which is really, really important. But yeah, I just think it's nice that we are doing this.
Anyway, back to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a podcast producer. I might cut this bit out, but I'm doing a lot of editing I'm basically doing a YouTube show for a guy in the States called
Ex-hamster.
Gareth I don't know what that is. I know what that is. Lemon Party. And there's a guy called Gareth Reynolds. I don't know if you've heard of
Bert.
No, he's dead. Have you heard of Arrested Development?
Yes.
The sitcom.
Not the band.
Not the band.
Yeah.
So he's a writer on He was a writer on the sitcom, not the band.
Cool.
And he's also the other half of a duo that do a podcast called The Dollop, which is one of the biggest podcasts in the world. Has been for a long time. It's a comedy history podcast.
Oh, okay.
And I've been badgering him in his DMs for like a year. They did a tour in the UK this time last year, and I went and made a highlight video for them. So that's like my wheelhouse is like an event highlight video.
Okay.
I'll go to an event, I'll film it in a way which, you know, the audience. So I figure out who the audience is, figure out what the purpose of the video is, and then I can just go and film a whole day with that in mind and edit it together really quickly. So a lot of what I've been doing with James over the past few years,
I saw a couple of things that were like that.
I'll go to like a corporate event.
Yeah.
Film it all day, edit it during the day, and then I'll play it at the end of the day. So I did this for this guy, Gareth Reynolds, one of his, and they were blown away. They're marketing. They're funny, creative guy. They're writers. Mm-hmm. So like to see a video, they're like, "Ooh, amazing!" I was like, "It's just." And so I kept in contact with him after that, and then he started doing an improv thing where he'd just go on Instagram Live. So I did a couple of spec edits of that, like really condensed things for Instagram and Twitter. And then he's just like, let's do this. So, but since then, I've like weaseled my way into his team and like rebranded him and like created this whole YouTube show.
Right.
I'm just like, because that's kind of what I do. I will like find someone or something I can add value to, and then just
market.
I'll go. I'm gonna be annoying. Just tell me to stop when you want me to stop, and I'll just keep pitching ideas to people, and that's how I generally get my work.
No, that's good though.
So that's what I did with this guy, and now I'm doing loads of stuff with him.
I actually watched a couple of the wedding girl things, and I was a bit like, "That's really good," but it's just not what I want to spend my time watching. And no interest in getting married or in.
They don't talk about getting married.
Oh no, they don't.
They talk about really like crazy stuff that they've done. I'm like, you realise you've got a business to run here. I don't know if you've watched any of this stuff, but some of the stories they tell us like rough.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of stuff you don't really hear because you don't. It's like, have you heard of the Bechdel test? Is it the Bechdel test? So it's this like study that someone did a few years ago, where they'd watch films, and if two female characters had a conversation, any amount of words with each other that didn't mention a protagonist or a male, then it passes the Bechdel test.
Yes.
And it's like Bechdel, I don't know.
Professional. This is where we look off camera. We should have a guy telling us what it is.
It'd usually be me. Like I was about to say, why am I on this side? Because this is my bad side. Just realised. It's a birthmark. And like a ridiculous number of films don't pass the Bechdel test.
Right, okay.
Like 0.0001% of films have two female characters talking to each other about something that isn't one of the male characters. But this podcast is three women, like bold, brassy, confident, like laddish women talking to each other about just girl stuff, and it's really eye-opening. And some of it's like
it's kind of stuff that we shouldn't be listening to, though.
Yeah, maybe. It's
not for men's ears. Yeah,
they're not for everybody.
Yeah. I really like the thing you did for James as well, the little video that you did for the biodynamic farm for Moss Valley.
Did I even do a video?
Yeah, you did a little promo thing. Pretty sure you did.
I think I did like half of one.
Oh,
and he's been trying to get me back ever since.
Oh, okay. Well, the bit that I saw was like, this is fucking really good.
Did I do it? I can't remember. I've been trying to go back. A mutual friend runs an incredible little farm. He has a subscription service where he boxes amazing vegetables up and sells them to posh white people. And he's been wanting. Well, I've been wanting to go and make a video for him for like a year, and it just keeps falling through. So last time it fell through, I was like, I just won't do it. Because I feel too bad.
This is why you're still a blue belt.
No, that's
because you've got the same attitude to training as you have to finishing projects.
No, that's he's not paying me to do it, so that's different.
Doesn't matter.
And
you have to.
I have to prioritize things because I have a family, so I have to do things that make money.
Here we go.
What? Go on. What?
I've got a family.
Yeah.
You're not the only person in the world with a family. Although I haven't got one, so it doesn't matter.
I'm just saying I have to prioritize things.
Yeah.
And if I'm like doing a low quality product for him, which I would be doing, because I'm like snatching days here where it's cloudy and then what I know what would happen is, because I've done it a billion times, I get all the footage together and I won't be able to edit it because I work every evening and that's for money. So he'd be sat there. Like I'd leave him hanging for months, so I'm just like, I won't do it until I can get time to do it. So Oscar's going to be going to school, which means that I will be able
Oscar's amazing, by the way.
I will be able to work during the day for the first time in about 10 months, which will leave my evenings open, which will mean I can do stuff like spend time with my wife, jiu-jitsu.
I look forward to
edit friends' products for free.
You and Oscar being back on the mats and rolling around and having fun. And we actually mentioned Oscar earlier because I spoke to Ove, who had Sonny. Brought his son yeah, we spoke. We said it'd be nice to get the kids down on a Sunday Sunday morning, afternoon, lunch.
Yeah, my son Oscar, he's been doing judo. Yeah. So we just started going back to judo, which is going to the judo teacher's house and working out on his drive with a bunch of other kids, social distance.
Oh,
so they're just doing like pull-ups and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
And he's like, he's 4, and the rest of them are like 7, 8, 9, 10. And he's just an absolute savage. He's actually very creative, but he's a savage.
He's got some like fire that I've not seen in many young lads. He's so
testosterone instead of blood, I'd say.
Yeah.
But he's a very creative
when he
kid.
was just screaming, running from one end of the mats to the other and throwing himself onto the crash mat.
But he does that. So at the judo before lockdown, they would do an hour of technique.
Right.
So he by like 45 minutes, his brain would be gone, and he'd just be like, oh, because he was 3, 4. Well, he was 4. And then they do straight away afterwards. They do half an hour randori. They do half an hour fighting. So they line up, fight for 3 minutes, switch, line up, and so he would fight these massive kids who were twice the size of him, and he didn't know any judo technique, so he'd just run at them and like try and rugby tackle them all. Can't get the legs, if you like this. Can't hit them, because he just starts swinging. So it was that so an hour and a half. It's a little 4-year-old. Anyway, but he's got a little writing desk and he just draws on it. Oh, fireworks! That's weird.
I wondered what I could hear. Must mean the local crack dealer's got a batch in.
So he just draws all day. He'll draw like made up words and letters, and he's just got a little writing desk and he's just constantly drawing. He draws himself, like really cool stuff.
Right.
Like just cool, like weird things.
Right.
And everyone else is like, stop. I'm like, dude, that's so cool. Like, just keep doing it, just drawing everything. It's amazing.
That's a good relationship to have, though.
Yeah, so there's obviously a lot of stuff we could talk about in terms of like education and nurturing creativity and stuff. But I think if you want to be a dad, but I think this generation is like so different in so many ways, and we've had to start doing things that the generation, like my parents smacked me, and now we don't do that. Like my parents,
is it not a thing?
No, you're
anymore?
not allowed to do it anymore.
Oh, that's why
because it's bad for them.
That's why you bring them to jiu-jitsu.
yeah. Like there's so many things that this generation have to completely change, do a complete U-turn on.
You're not allowed to smack them at all, then? Now.
I don't know. I don't know if you're allowed to, but
because some kids just need a slap.
Yeah, but you can't do it.
Why?
Because then it teaches so many bad things.
It never hurt me. I'm such a well-balanced character. I can remember I got to the point where I was probably about 10 or 11 and my mum had smacked me and I'd just laugh at her. Just like, what are you doing?
That's one of the problems with it,
yeah. It just doesn't work. It probably works when somebody's...
Yeah, but it doesn't work. It works as in that it stops the behaviour that you want to stop right then.
Yeah.
But it causes so much negative stuff in them and in you that it doesn't actually work.
Oh, no.
Like what you want it to do is, create the behaviour.
It just creates snowflakes if you don't smack them.
It doesn't.
It does.
You've been listening to Jordan Peterson too much. You need to get off YouTube. You're gonna go from Jordan Peterson. You're going to Stephen Crowder. Have you been watching Stephen Crowder?
No, I'm not.
Okay, Ben Shapiro.
No.
Okay,
no.
Good. All right. Maybe just
with
stop Jordan Peterson.
Just stay
He's a
away
gateway
from
drug.
those.
Actually, Joe Rogan's a gateway. Right. That's the debate for something else. We're trying to talk about creativity.
You need to beat it into children.
So yeah, I guess I've told my story. I've kind of told my story in that at school, didn't get academia at all. Yeah. I was always looking out the window. But then when it came to anything creative, like so when I was doing my A-levels, I did computer studies, did a term of it, did some mock exams at the end. This is A1, so it's the first year of A-levels. Did the mock exams. The teacher took me aside afterwards and said, you should have revised for these. And I said, I did. And he's like, maybe it's not for you. So even though I'd spent all my time on computers and I didn't really understand how they worked, couldn't do computing. So then I just did film studies, A2. So the next year I picked it up and got A stars without even trying. So then I just did that at uni because I was like,
right.
I either go to film school.
The film library at Salter Lane was amazing, by the way. The one that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
I watched
I caught up on all the classics and stuff.
Yeah.
So either go to film school, pay a load of money to do that, and like an iffy kind of like end product kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get a job after that. Or I wanted to be a Royal Marine as well.
I wanted to be in the Marines. I was actually in the Marine Cadets for a while.
Oh, were you?
And a few of my friends from school actually joined the Corps.
They doing all right now? Or?
Yeah. They're Smith, Newbold. Hi guys, probably never going to watch this.
You look a bit like a Marine with that hat on.
I think one was
I don't know why.
One was a sniper.
I
was obsessed with the like 30 miler and all that kind of thing, and being a man.
Yeah, testing yourself.
But then I kind of discovered drugs and clubbing and girls and like. Yeah. It was actually my dad asked me when I was saying I was going to do it. He said to me, like. Could you kill another man?
Yeah.
He went, I don't need to answer it.
Yeah. Great question.
Total
That's
rhetorical
a really,
question.
really good question.
He goes, but could you kill another man?
That's
just think about it. And
yeah.
I was just like, I don't think I could.
That's exactly what I did.
And it was just like...
That's so funny.
Just somebody who's over there and just... Poof, like they've not done anything, or just killing somebody because somebody else has told you to do it.
Because their boss's got some oil.
Yeah. Or something even worse or more nefarious than that. Just like kill them. I've got another friend who, like, he was working for the CIA as a mercenary.
Can you hear yourself?
Yeah.
Keep moving about.
Sorry, he was working for...
Oh, right. Post.
Yeah, as a mercenary. So he'd been in the paras and something else, and then he was out in out in Afghanistan, like executing drug lords for the CIA and just getting paid in cash. And it's just like, what?
That's like the worst job you could possibly.
Yeah, go to this address, execute everybody. It's not as bad as bring back the goods.
It's not as bad as killing 200 locusts in a day, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah,
in terms of karma.
Wow.
Yeah, so I wanted to be a Royal Marine for, I think it's the same reason as you, like trying to test myself, trying to sort of, maybe it was like, without knowing it, I'm a very skittish, creative person that's being pushed into these like academic, regimented, jobs and professions and subjects that I just wasn't designed for. So I always constantly grew up thinking, I'm not disciplined enough. Mm-hmm. I'm lazy. Yeah, but actually, I'm not lazy.
I didn't have that. I had the opposite of that.
I'm talking about myself. Can you stop talking about yourself? And so I was like, I'll be in the Marines and they'll teach me how to be disciplined. Yeah. Maybe that's what it was.
So I did the Scouts from being quite young, and they taught us quite a bit about like cleaning up and folding things and being quite...
Fingernails.
But just being quite generally looking after yourself. And I won quite a few like cooking competitions and bits and bobs with them, and like they had this thing called the Telegraph Trophy where you had to run a small campsite and everything had to be square and precise. I kind of liked the whole. Yeah, maybe that was something to do with it. I don't know.
But then I went to uni, Hallam, and did film studies, which was terrible. But while I was doing it, I started. Well, we went to the same campus without really knowing. This old campus that isn't there anymore. It's flats. I started doing freelance videography, just randomly. And then I've carried that on until now. So that's my story, how I got here.
So what else have you done for jobs, other than...
I've never had a job.
What have you done for money, though? What have you actually...
I got rich parents.
Oh, okay, nice.
Well, I had rich parents, and my dad died when I was 16, 17.
Shit.
So I got loads of money from that. And I got a load of grants to do uni from the government.
Right.
Because I didn't have a dad.
So do you fancy coming and doing a day on a site one day and actually seeing what it's like to be a man?
No, because I've done it. And no. My best friend's a builder. And
it's awful.
It's terrible. I did a day and a half in a sausage packing factory. Just
with James.
Literally the only reason I did it is so I could say what I just said, because I thought it was funny. I couldn't hack it. Couldn't do it. It's impossible.
It's just horrible. Any of those kind of jobs. I used to do overtime at Stokes Paints, and basically I was putting lids on tins of paint as they came along a conveyor belt, and just the.
Can't do it. I couldn't keep up.
So basically, they had a machine that would squeeze the lid on, but had to actually just put the lids on the tins as they're coming past. And you're like,
how is that How is that cheaper than getting a machine to do it?
I have no idea.
Right. So this brings up a really interesting point, which is what I've been thinking about is, in terms of futurology, creativity is going to be one of the biggest currencies.
Yeah.
So you're going to see more and more automation. So what are we going to be? How are we going to be bring value to the marketplace, or bring value to the world, or bring value to our communities? It's coming up with ideas, because we're not going to be cogs in a machine anymore, because it's going to be automated. So the people that are going to rise to the top or be able to bring value are people that are going to be able to think outside the box, aka creativity. So I think I've been thinking about that with my son, because I'm always trying to really encourage him to develop that. Because I wasn't crushed in that way, but when you enter our school system, You are crushed in terms of your creativity, really.
Although I think that some people do need their creativity stifling because it's awful.
Mm. In what way? What do you mean?
Just some of the bad art that's out there.
Well, then
the bad work where it's like, who's encouraged him to try and be an artist?
I guess they're probably not creative in that way.
Well, I guess, yeah. But what's the question that I'm going to ask you now is when you're saying about how if the creatives are what are wanted in society, what we're going to do with all the people who aren't creative, who the guys who put the tins on the lids and
so you're gonna have robots. You need people to maintain the robots. They don't necessarily have to be creative people. They have to be good with their hands, good mathematically, good organisationally.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a good question.
There's going to be a lot of like spare people kicking around.
I think pandemics will take and natural disasters will take care of those people.
We could create a few more pandemics, I guess.
I wrote we could make in labs in real labs in Wuhan that really creative. What was I going to say?
Bill Gates has got a few more in his back.
This is not a conspiracy podcast. This is a podcast about creativity and the creative process and creative professionals. I think we've come to the end of what we're going to talk about tonight. I think Rich is breathing a bit too much of this. What's that?
Paulo Santos.
So, one other thing I'd like to do is do a book club. So, if you want to follow along, I'm going to be talking about The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield next week. It's a bit of a pop book. I read it before. I found some good bits in it. As you can see, I've cornered some of them. Some of it's terrible. Some of it's really good. Pick it off obviously. Oh, you're not meant to buy from Amazon, are you now? Don't buy it from Amazon. And you can read it, and then next week I'm going to talk about it. I think.
Where else do I get all my tap from if I don't?
I literally buy everything. I have to go to the tip once a week with all the cardboard.
There's just a massive pile in the corner there.
The book the week after is this one I haven't read yet. It's another pop psychology book type thing. It's called Creativity, and it's by a guy from Hungary with a long name.
What's his name?
See if you can pronounce it.
Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi.
We'll be back next week with an interview with a very interesting creative person. We're going to talk about creative stuff. I want to talk about the myth of the hustle as well. I hate hustling and hard work. I hate that. The whole thing that's built up around that recently.
You hate hard work?
I hate the mythos around it, especially in previous generations, how hard work is everything. I don't think...
Oh, no.
Yeah. We'll talk about that.
Work smart.
Yeah. Oh, I thought we were going to be able to be diametrically opposed, but I think we're on the same page. So, thanks so much for watching. If you watched this far, we'll be back next week with an interview with someone more interesting than us.
Thank you. Bye.